Welcome, everyone. How much fun was that intro? We're super excited to be here. I'm Jodie Fielden, and I'm with my work wife and bestie and business partner, Adri Varga. We're here to help you turn your challenges into opportunities, overcome obstacles, and discover practical challenges to create success.
That's right. And hi, guys. My name is Adri Varga. And today we are extremely excited because this is our very first podcast. And today, what we're going to do, we're just basically going to introduce ourselves properly, share with you who we are and what we do. And we will cover a little of what you can expect from this podcast in the future.
Yeah, so we're going to share our personal stories and we're going to speak a bit more about how we overcame challenges and learnt to embrace change, even when it was unexpected and often uninvited, and the importance of seeking help when you need it.
Yes, absolutely. But before we start to getting into the nitty gritty, why don't we start with just in the very beginning, 13 years ago when we first met?
I know this is a fun story. I'm going to let Adriana start because she's better at this bit than me.
That's all right. So 13 years ago when we first started, I was in a really, really strange situation because the salon when I was working, they decided to shut the salon, but they didn't let us know. So basically one day they just came and they told us, like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks from now, we're going to shut the salon and off you go. It was pretty much what was it. And obviously, like none of us knew what to do, like it was such a not nice business practice whatsoever. So we ended up really, like having 2 weeks to figure it out what we're going to do. And for me, my first thought was, well, the salon is shutting down. There are going to be so many clients wanting to connecting with us or want to follow us. And I just decided, you know what, those clients going to find me anyway. So why don't I just look for or rent a chair instead of taking all those clients with me to another business and being an employee again? And this is how I was a little bit delusional because I thought, like everyone is going to be open for my idea, to walk into the salon, nice and pretty, introducing myself and asking for renting a chair. And around the area, I went basically, I think I spent around almost three days to went into every single salon strategically, left my little notes to the salon owner when I couldn't speak to them, and no one called me back. And I was like far out, like, what's going to happen? So my last thing was, well, I just told to the universe, like if it's meant to be, you must help me, like. And this is when I got an idea. It used to be a Gumtree where we always, posted whatever you wanted to, or sell or
Mm.
find or whatever. And I posted exactly what I was looking for. And then 5 minutes later, I've got an answer, and I thought it was from you, but then you shared with me it was actually from Graham.
It was
And the
Graham, the
funny thing,
first one.
yeah. And the funny thing about it, like your salon was 5 minutes walk from where I used to live. And I didn't even think about your salon whatsoever. Like I actually took the bus to go to other little suburbs to find a salon to work. And this is where our story started because you invited me to come to the salon. You lived upstairs. And you said, whenever,
Yep.
just come, like I'm going to be around. So I went to the salon and we right away clicked. Like you were just so lovely and friendly. And it was like a soul connection. Like it's almost like I met with my
Yep.
sister because you were just so
Yep.
lovely. And I still remember Harper sitting in the high chair, like you were feeding her. And her little
That's
big
right. It was like,
bald
just come
head,
in.
and she had this big smile. And then we started to chat, and basically we decided right then and right there that I will rent two chairs from you, and I
Hmm.
could start right away. So this is how we started. But I think what
Yeah,
you
look,
could share with our audience is, as a salon owner, where you were, because it was all unexpected for you. When I came to the
it
salon, it was
was,
really, really not like,
yeah, it wasn't planned.
yeah.
Um, and nothing, back then, I was still crazy from having baby. She was only, I think, not even 3 months old, I don't think. So what had happened was that, uh, I'd had the baby and I didn't have anyone to look after her. And I thought that I'd be able to do everything and I just sort of have the time off because I had plenty of team at the time. And then sort of all at once, one of the girls broke her ankle the day that I went into labor. She was at a netball and she broke her ankle. So she was off for it was really bad break. So I think it was going to be like 3 months. And then I had one of the other girls, she finished up as well. I can't even, it was one of the Irish visa girls. And she decided to go back to Ireland early. So, you know, like there was just all of a sudden I lost all these main people and I had to go back to work and juggle. I used to take Harper and run her up to Joe. Do you remember him at the florist? I used to,
I remember.
this is his, he became her godfather, but I used to run like the baby, like I'd express the milk and grab the baby and I'd run him 3 shops up to the florist and he'd take her for an hour or two so I could work. And it was just all crazy. And so I ended up, because we were a really big salon and like I had like 13 people working for me anyway. So it became too much because this is one of those times that I didn't know where to find help to try and because I'm a big thinker, details elude me, hence why it was in such disarray. So, you know, all of a sudden we reduced and Graham said, look, because the salon's so large, he's like, oh, we might just look at having a rented chair because the lady I bought it from used to do that a lot. And I'd inherited one, Gay, who's still in touch with and love her dearly. And so Graham's just like, well, why don't we do another one? It can take a little bit of pressure off, you know? And I went, oh, okay. So, and he said, look, someone's message. And I said, yes. And then I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll get back to her and tell her that, you know, come in. So it was literally just that he'd thrown that idea to me. So yeah, when you came through and it was awesome. It was just, it was like an instant connection and it just fell into place for us, didn't it, really?
Yes, absolutely. And then it was just such a great connection. And also the other girl who was also renting a chair, she was absolutely amazing. And the salon was like when I went to your salon, I could feel, you know, a little bit all over the place because you had the new baby and, you know, the girls, they tried to help you, but what was it really? Everyone did what they thought it was the right things to do. And
there was
wasn't really
no
the right
system.
Yeah.
All the systems were in my head and I was always such hands-on and always there to direct. So when I'm not there and then it's not done my way, and I used to get like always, oh, why can't they just do it? You know?
Yeah.
I know now why.
And
it was all me.
And the funny part is, you know, like I started 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks after. And 2 weeks after when I went, you just said me, guess what? And I said, like, guess like what? And she said, I'm pregnant again. And I was like, what?
I know Harper was,
you know,
like 4 months old.
Just babies so quickly.
Talk to the
so
husband.
Funny. And then you were really in a panic. You were almost like, all right, you know, like, would you just come and manage the salon for me? And I said, like, a break, you know, like
I don't even know you.
Out, you know, like I'm just starting to renting a chair. My life is like all over the place right now. I'm not ready to take on management. So anyway, we were, you know, flipping around this idea for a while.
We didn't feel like we bounced it, didn't we? We kind of just said, oh, well, look, if you can just watch it when I'm not here. And then, you know, I just need you to make sure no one burns anything down or, you know, there's a lawsuit somewhere.
And then a couple of months later,
eased you into it.
And a couple of months later, you know, like I sort of committed to it to help, you know, and help you to run the business. But running a business and owning a business is very, very different. So
2 very different things. And I didn't have everything. We didn't nut out. I don't think we ever had a clear, like, these are my expectations, those are your expectations. So a lot of things never really happened that, like, I would otherwise. It just all kind of happened in happenstance rather than it being planned. You know, like if I had baby hormones were terrible for me, weren't they? They
Yeah,
made me
yeah,
crazy.
you were extremely emotional, I can tell that. Sometimes,
I
the
was.
girls, they were just like this in the salon because they were, the hormones and everything. And it was a little bit all over the
Mhm.
place. And I think, like the only help what you could is what it's available for you. That was me, like, because Gay
Mhm.
still had
Yep.
her young children. She could not help you. I was the
Mhm.
one, like, whose
Mhm.
partner was living in overseas. I was by myself with a dog, and like, I was basically the second best or the third best choice, and this is
Mm.
how we ended up. And I was managing the salon for you for almost 3 years. But
Mm.
during that
Yeah.
3 years, you wanted to sell this salon for me so many times. It's
Oh,
just
I know. And it was, well, what would happen was I'd hit, so because when Bryn was about 18 months old, I received two diagnoses. I received Harper's autistic diagnosis and Bryn's autistic diagnosis. And Bryn's was severely autistic and nonverbal and all these things lumped on top of it. And it was so overwhelming getting all this information. And then so I'd become to the point where I'm like, that's it. I can't do anymore. I need to just go and concentrate on my family. I can't look after the business. So I'm going to sell it. And then things would start going a little bit better and I'd get my groove on. I'm like, okay, I don't need to sell it. I can do this. And we went on this up and down roller coaster for ages. I
yes,
reckon it would have been
yes.
about 18 months that
Yeah,
it
probably,
was.
because when I finally decided to buy it, then the business started to get a little bit better. And you told me, just give me 6 months, so I can take some money out for, just earn some money for
Yep,
my
because
hard work,
I
and then you
built
can have
it
it.
back up. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
built it back up because at one point it was, and was when I was mentally at my lowest, and emotionally with the kids and everything. And Graham, I had no family support. I don't have parents here or
yeah,
anything. So
yeah,
I ended up, it got to the point where Graham would have to be paying the bass for me, or I'd,
yeah.
get him to throw
Mm,
in a couple of grand because I've got to pay the supers and there wasn't enough for the supers. So, so I was always
yeah,
chasing my tail. And then once they were able to go to daycare, I could go back in and, like you said, build it back up. And because I'm
mm,
there and I'm on the floor and I can make money and it got back up to where at least it was paying me a wage, paying for like it was an asset again.
yeah,
Like I built it back up to
yeah,
an asset, not as good as I could have, but
yeah,
to the point where I knew I wouldn't feel guilty selling it to you,
yeah,
like, because
yeah,
and I remember that day that when I finally decided to, do you remember how I said it in the beginning when it was like, either you take it, either you buy it or I close the doors. Like
yes,
either way,
yeah,
this is going to
yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so at least it got to the point, back to the point where you were able to sort of, take over and I felt, okay, it's going to be
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it worked for me because, the girls, they made enough money to pay the bills. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't enough money for me to get a wage, but I
Mm-hmm.
had my rental clientele to get the
Mm-hmm.
wage for me. So that was something what we were sort of, talking about. And yes, like, I remember how firmly I said, just shut it, like, I don't care. I don't want to have a
Mm-hmm.
hair salon for myself. But then, by that time, you moved out, and I moved upstairs. So by that
We
time,
even
like,
swapped
I was really
houses.
connected to the salon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was really connected to the salon. And I started to think that night. I remember I was thinking about, like, if you shut the doors, then I need to find another salon. And it was really difficult to find someone to rent a chair. But
Mm-hmm.
even if I would find another one, are they going to be flexible like you used to be? Because you used to be really
Mm-hmm.
a dream landlord, like, you gave us
Yeah.
so much flexibility, like, we could come and go, you trusted us, like, and we were really
Mm.
very trustworthy, like, Gay and me,
Oh
like,
yeah, it
we
was
would never do
worth it.
anything. But
Yeah.
that was what I was thinking, and then I moved the clients again and whatever. So I remember, like I told to you, like, all right, let me to look into the data just a little bit to have a look, like at least, like I can make it to work. And we noted out with my accountant that it should be fine. So I took over the salon, and I remember how devastated I felt in the first 3 months. I had no strategy. I had no plan whatsoever.
Lots
I
of phone
felt like,
calls and I wasn't much help
yeah,
because
I
I was
was,
just like, hey, I'm out. I'm just like, I can help you a little bit, but
yes,
I'm out.
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so my only strategy was really just working some extra hours so I could cover every single cost. And after
Yep.
around 3 or 4 months, I stopped with my resisting the whole lot, and I said, all right, so I need to make this to work. I need to figure it out because I was over my 40s. I never wanted a hair salon
Yeah.
for myself.
Mm.
And, like I said, I don't have time. I don't have 10 years to figure this out because I wanted money. I wanted a lifestyle. I had a lifestyle when I was renting a chair. The only thing what I didn't realize, I didn't have the safety. Because, like if I would have fall sick or when I wanted to go for a holiday, no one was
Yeah.
creating money for me. So that was
Yeah.
something that I learned later on when I had a successful salon, when I decided to drop my hours back one Saturday a month, and my business created more money than I took out from the business in the very beginning with 60 hours a week. Like that. This is when basically I decided I actually need to look for a friend. Yeah, I needed a friend who would
I
who
need a
would
friend.
help me who would help
Yeah.
me to make this right. And this is when I started to do research, was chatting with people, and I actually ended up finding my first business mentor, and
Mm.
that has changed everything for me. So that was
I think it
something really big.
I think it's really important too that people realize, like, when and it's an industry thing, and we'll talk about a little bit about this later, that we know there's a problem, but we don't know where to find the solution. Like,
Yes.
because I, like, for me, you were a lot smarter, because you went to find the right person. But for me, it was like, I know how to run a business. I know how to make money. I know how to get um, employees to do what I want them to do. Like, I've got all those things. I don't need someone to tell me how to do it. What I didn't know was that I needed someone to help me work it out in my head, and how to break my big pictures into the smaller things, and that it wasn't a reflection on me as a person that I'm not capable. I think that was a
Mhm.
really big aha moment. Like, I was resistant to, like, anyone coming in, because I know what I'm doing. I'm not stupid, like, I'm capable, instead of
Yeah.
looking at it like, okay, how can I make this better? This is an investment. This is, and
Yeah, and
and
I
like,
think this
I remember.
happens to all of yeah, and I think it happens to all of us, like we are really good with what we are doing. We are great hairdressers, great
Mhm.
beauticians, great Pilates studio owners, like we are great at all these things. But then what we don't realize that when we have a business, it's actually not enough. It's actually
Mhm.
half of the success. And the other
Yeah.
half, what we never been taught, like no one is teaching us business skills when we had our trade skill. And for me,
Mhm.
because I had different backgrounds, like I'm not just a hairdresser, I have backgrounds in HR, software development. I was director at one point for an export and import company with my ex-partner, like I had so
Mm.
many different, and I have a very logical mind, and the creativity for me, that was always challenge, so I had to learn to merge the two together. But for me it was a logical decision. So I'm in this situation, I had enough crying over my shoulder and my friend's shoulder, like that I ended up with a salon what I never wanted. But now what's the
Mhm.
solution? And this is how
Mhm.
I was thinking about. And it took for me a couple of months until I started to see things changing in the salon. And once I
Mhm.
started to see things changing for the better, I actually really started to enjoy to have my own business, my own hair salon, I
Yeah.
would say, because then
Mhm.
I was in control. And that was, I
Mm-hmm.
think, what was very important. And it should be very important really for all of us, have the clarity where we are going to and what we want to achieve. So then 6 years later, I actually ended up selling this salon. So I don't have this salon. I sold it last year. And in the meantime, like during the 6 years, there are so many things happened to me and to Jodie. For We were separated for a couple of
Mm-hmm.
years because Jodie was looking after her family, and I was, making sure, like I'm getting this business right. And when I was working with my business mentor, 18 months into coaching, they offered for me to become one of their franchisee. And this is how my life changed very dramatically because, itty bitty shitty committee sitting on your shoulder telling to you, you are not good enough, and you don't have money, like that was the other thing, like how could I pay for a
Yeah.
franchise? Anyway, I just thought, I will put it on the table. I will tell to my business mentor, like firstly, like, are you sure you want me to be one of your franchises? And she said, yeah, absolutely. And then secondly, I told to her, I don't have the full money. And that, in a way, I was sort of asking for is there any help available? Can we make this to work? I didn't decide it for her that she won't give me any options apart from full payment. And this is when we worked it out. And I ended up with a
Mm-hmm.
franchise for over 2 years. And this is when we reconnected with Jodie again, because
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
struggling to find a good assistant. And we were talking with Jodie, like one day, and I said, oh, far out, like I just need someone who could assist me and help me with writing emails and whatever. And she said to me, I can do that. And do you remember
Yeah.
I told you, like, are you sure you would be fine, being told what to do?
What to
Do you
do?
remember that?
Yes, we had
Yeah.
that big conversation, and I was like, well, we'll see how we go. Tell me something, and I'll see how I react. Because I've made
Yes.
so and for me it was something that I'd done before, like even though I did my apprenticeship in hairdressing, I left hairdressing for almost 10 years, and I went into asset management. So I was working with some of the biggest fund managers in the world in super and pension and financial advisors. And so I had a office-based corporate world background before we bought the salon, because you say it's a salon you didn't want, it's a salon I didn't want either. Graham um, came to me and he said, I found a salon to buy, because I was working for one of the big fund managers, and I was, taking 2-hour lunch breaks and, really terrible employee, and I was miserable. And he turned around and he said to me, why don't we look buying a salon? I said, I don't
Mm.
want a salon. I said I wouldn't be a hairdresser, and I did that. And I've managed enough salons. I'm not interested. He said, yeah, but you'll be your own boss. No one's going to tell you what to do. So
Mm.
I was able to take, like all the skills that I learned in asset management and funds, like all that side of things, and bring it to the business as well. So, and it did really well, being able to have my both my experiences to do that. So he ended up convincing me to go and look at this salon in an area of Sydney that I said I'd never move to as well. So if I say I'm never going to do it, don't listen. I think I said I wasn't having kids as well, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you ended up
So
with two.
I know, right? But yeah, so it's a running joke between Adri and I about the salon we never wanted. And I think, that whole, for me, it's the mindset of the way we approach things, and
Yeah.
if I had have had someone that was able to explain to me, it doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing in your business. It just means I need to show you some extra skills. We just need to add
Mm.
some extra layers to what you've already got to elevate you, to take you to that next level, because the next level doesn't just happen overnight. The next level isn't just, it's not, Adriana says, hope's not a strategy.
Yeah.
It's not saying that, oh gosh, I hope this is going to work. It's,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
like you said,
So when we decided to start to work together,
oh
and
yeah,
you become my lovely assistant and helping me, and
yes,
then it was really good to reconnect again, and it was really
yeah,
lovely to start to work, and like it was nice that I wasn't alone anymore. I had someone who was smart and had some smart input, and like, because I went through a couple of admins, and a couple of assistants, but they were too young and they were really not someone you could bounce back, or and Jodie had obviously the industry back, like the industry knowledge also, and this franchise was purely focusing on hair and beauty. So then I decided that I wanted to sell this franchise because I just wanted to explore other things. And this is when I sold the franchise, and then I had a break. And my strength is mindset. I'm an NLP
mm-hmm,
coach and an NLP practitioner. Jodie is a big picture person with lots of idea. So we were very passionate about hair and beauty, but we also very passionate about health. So we looked into Pilates, yoga, and the wellness industry, and we actually saw that they are very, very similar, isn't it, Jodie?
very similar. Yeah. Look, they are, and it's surprising about how similar they are, because I think the first thing we both noticed when we started was that they really mirror each other. I
Yes,
think they have,
they very much,
so
yeah, they have the same kind of challenges, like finding clients, finding
yeah.
stuff, educating and motivating their stuff, plus,
Mm-hmm.
finding the time to do all the tasks, that need to be done when it comes to running and marketing their business. So it's all the same. I think, like that's what we really
Mm-hmm.
realized right in the beginning.
Yeah, it was. And I think the biggest reflection of each other is that they're both extremely image driven industries. Like, you've got to look the part, it's
Yeah,
very much that image based mindset.
yeah. Yeah, and everyone is looking at the successful businesses, like in their trade, in their area, and they only look for the shiny objects, like all those, big names and everything. And I totally agree with you. Like it's actually an unspoken problem with the beauty and wellness industry. That salon and studio owners fall into the same trap of focusing on their business image, and this is what they want to put out there, like a big successful business, but essentially
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, they are struggling behind, they're struggling with the foundations and the fundamentals. They don't really know how to get it right. We speak with so many business owners, and everyone, or most of them really, they are don't know the how, they don't have clarity on many things,
Mm-hmm.
and they almost like trying to keep up with the Joneses, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
they,
100. Yeah.
yeah, and this is really true to our industry.
Yeah. And, and this is where like our podcast is sort of coming into it, because I think with Beyond the Mirror, we're going to be able to, all through this podcast, we're going to be talking, about not only our own expertise, like when it comes to marketing or the numbers, and or mindset, and motivating your team and things like that. But I think we're going to be bringing some of the best industry leaders and successful business owners we've worked with and who we've met as well, that have actually mastered the art of running like a truly thriving business.
Yes, absolutely. And I just
Sorry.
can't wait to hear their stories and also their experiences. And hopefully, you guys, our
Yeah.
listeners, you will gain some valuable insight for, for them. Like you can take some valuable insight for yourself to basically, to implement into your journey or into your business. Because I think really everyone needs to hear more about the full journey of, of running a business, and heights usually doesn't just happen overnight. And that's very, very important to realize. There is a lot of sleepless nights, like lots of gazing on the,
Mhm.
on the ceiling.
A lot of
And
hoping.
like, yeah. And like, people, they think whoever is successful, whoever is made it, like they are lucky, or like, oh, it was just good timing, right place, right time. But we know, working with
Mhm.
so many hundreds of business owners, we know this is actually a journey, and everyone need to realize it is okay to actually feel uncertain sometimes, to feel lost sometimes, to feel overwhelmed sometimes. Is absolutely okay. It's part
Mhm.
of the journey.
Yeah, it is. And it's, I think, people forget when all of a sudden it falls into place and it's working, it seems like it is, oh, just overnight, it just started to work. They don't talk about
Yeah.
the like 3 or 4 years that you've been working or pushing at it constantly before that like overnight click happens. So, and I think having spoken about that, it kind of ties in with the topic for next week, actually, because we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
image, about worrying
Yes.
about the things
Yes.
that you're worrying about, how I look to everyone else, and making sure that, like my social media it looks beautiful, and, like my salon is shiny, and, or my studio has all the best equipment and all the rest of it, instead of first looking at the foundations, all those business fundamentals that make and support a business. That in both our industries, in both the wellness and the hair and beauty industry, they are often not skills that the business owners bring in naturally, is wanting to sit there with all those numbers, and
Yeah. And the
building those
other thing is,
foundations. So I think,
like, sorry.
no, you're right. Go.
I
There's
think
a
I think we
delay.
have a delay in the internet, because I already thought you finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, the problem is, when we set up our business, or when we end up with a business, like, we don't really start from the smart way, start from the beginning. Yeah, we're spending much more money. We don't many times happens with the image based businesses, like they go full on, I want the best salon, best studio, best fit out, best everything, best whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they start with a really big loan, and then they try to catch
Mm-hmm.
up. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, what I did really well, like when I took over the business from you, I actually led the salon to start to make some money before I started to
Mm-hmm.
started to spend money. And I think, like
Yeah.
when you set up a new studio or a new salon, I really would suggest, like start with something what you are happy with and what you can manage financially, and then you build up, and you can renovate, and you can refurbish, like in 3 years or whatever. But then you are not going to put yourself in a situation when
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have sleepless nights anyway, because you're going to worry about your staff, you're going to worry about the clients and all the other things. But basically, like, what I just
You
wanted to
want
say.
to, at the end of the period of worrying, you actually want to have something that was worth all the worry, instead of something that you've
Exactly.
just throw your hands up in the end. And,
Yes.
like something that when we were talking to accountant Nikki the other day, when she said, like business owners, or very few, will do any planning for their business before they have to, until, like a
Yes.
bank makes them. And then even when they do that, it's not a true business plan. It's just something to tick the boxes for the bank. They don't actually map it out, take their big picture and map it out. But, it's,
Yes.
um, I've just had the little timer go off, and do you realize that we're already at the end of our podcast, and starting to go into next week's topic already, which is image instead of focusing on fundamentals.
That's absolutely fantastic. And I can't believe, how fast time flies. And I just wanted to say thank you for staying with us and listening to our stories. I promise to you guys, this was the last time when we are talking so much about ourselves. because from the next episodes, our focus is basically to share informations which are relevant to business. And, we have so many very, very interesting topics. So that was all of what we wanted to share about us, just, who we are, where we are started from, and how we developed this beautiful friendship between me and Jodie and me, I would say. And, like 13 years ago, life brought us together, and we never looked back.
Hmm.
And, like when you have this
No.
beautiful soul connection with someone, even we didn't see each other and we didn't talk with each other for 5 years because we were working towards two different,
Different
um,
things.
goals and different things in our lives. But when we connected again, it was just so instant. And yeah, I'm
Yeah, it
just
was
very
like it was
proud
5 minutes ago.
to know. Yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
I'm just very proud that I find a business partner, we can work together so well. And, there is a
hmm.
mutual respect, because partnership is not
Yeah.
easy. Many times people are asking us about partnership. And we always
Hmm.
say, you need to get clarity right in the beginning. What is what, who is who,
Hmm.
write it down, sign it, because that's very important. Because when you just speaking about things, you're going to remember different things in different ways, and
Hmm.
once it's built and done, then it's nothing to argue about. And also,
Yeah.
mutual respect, it's very important that,
Yeah.
we
And
respect each
it's
other.
also, yeah, and I think it's also knowing each other well enough to, if there is something that's happened or someone's in a grumpy mood in the morning, is to go, you know what, I'll come back to you later, and not
Yeah,
take it personally. I
yeah,
think that's especially with I'm a lot more volatile than Adriana. Adriana's very zen and relaxed, and she steps back and she thinks about it and she assesses the situation. Jodie goes in, arms up, running around. we're complete opposites, which is, I think
yeah,
that's what you need as well. Like,
yeah,
you also need to be, if you're the same people, it's too hard. I think us being, very different, has very much worked in our way. But again, our time is up. So I'm
absolutely,
glad.
absolutely.
Yep. Hopefully everyone was able to, know us that little bit, and who we are, what we do. And yeah.
So the last thing what is left for us really, guys, if you would like to, I invite you to check out the link. We leave a link for you in our bio, and you can join into our Facebook group, or you can follow us on Instagram. Our handle is at FocusGDT. And if you want to, you can actually jump over to check our website. We have a lot of free resources for you. And the website is www.focusgdt.com.
Yep. And also, you on the website, you'll be able to find the links to register for any of our workshops that we've got running at the time, and our courses, because we believe everyone should have the opportunity to build a successful business. And that's why we designed this podcast, because we want to help do that.
Yeah, and if you want to have some fun, on our website, actually, you can find a quiz, separate quiz for hair and beauty salon owners, and separate quiz for studio owners. And you can just click on that link and you can go through that quiz. And that quiz is going to give you a personalized report, which is going to be a physical PDF file and also a video report. So if you feel like to play a little bit and find out about your business personality, then just head over to our website and complete that quiz.
Okay, guys. Well, that's it from us. We're going to see you next week, and each week after that at 9:30 on a Thursday. And remember, we're here to help you turn your challenges into opportunities, overcome obstacles, and discover practical strategies to create success.
Absolutely, and we will catch you next Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Sydney time. And bye for
Sydney
now,
time.
guys, and have a lovely rest of the week. Bye for now.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.